In today's video, we're going to give you an overview of our trip on the Rocky Mountaineer Railroad along the journey through the clouds, starting in Vancouver, through Jasper and Banff National Parks, and ending in Calgary.
Last month, we took this trip and we will give you our full review of the Rocky Mountaineer Train and the GoldLeaf service. We'll tell you how you can enjoy this luxury ride, but also tell you in hindsight how you can save thousands of dollars and still have a great trip.
We're John and Bev, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
In 2019, I retired after a long career.
Very long.
Very long, but very good career. Now, we were living in Florida, and our friends suggested that we take the Rocky Mountaineer Railroad with them. We love train travel, and this sounded like just the ticket to kick off our retirement. Now, this was actually before we had come up with the crazy idea of traveling full-time and starting this YouTube channel.
Since that time, we have sold our home, given away all of our stuff, and set out on a grand adventure of full-time world travel. We are coming to you this week from Scotland. We are on a road trip in the Scottish Highlands, and boy, is this place beautiful.
Now, we've taken a few weeks to let this Rocky Mountaineer trip sink in so that we could give you an honest assessment of our journey and take a look at all the numbers to determine if this was the best use of our travel dollars. We also wanted to reflect on how this luxury guided experience compares to our normal do-it-yourself type of travel.
Now, before we go further, doing this with our friends will always make this one of our very best travel weeks. It was just good for our souls to be with our friends who we love so much. This just filled our hearts with happiness, and we will always cherish this time with them.
The other point we want to make, and we want to make this very clear, the Rocky Mountaineer Railroad is a first-class operation. They were professional from the very beginning when making our reservations until the very end when we finished the trip. The crew was entertaining, the food was fantastic, the coach was memorable, and the experience was incredible.
When we travel, we are very cognizant of our travel budget. And while we are not budget travelers, we are bargain hunters. And we did a video once where we talked about where we fall on the scale of luxury to budget. And we said at that time that we are somewhere in the middle. We travel a lot like budget travelers, taking public transportation and visiting some low-cost countries, but we also mix in those experiences with high-end travel too. The Rocky Mountaineer is one of those luxury experiences.
Still, we want to make good decisions about how we spend our money. We have great experiences every week, so we want to tell you what we thought of the Rocky Mountaineer, tell you what service level we chose, but also give you our honest assessment as to whether this trip was worth the money we spent.
We ultimately chose the journey through the clouds, which was a 9-day trip starting in Vancouver, traveling east to Jasper National Park, and then taking a bus tour to Banff National Park, and then on to Calgary. In 2024, this same trip will cost about $12,500 for 2 people.
The first thing we think you should know in booking a trip with the Rocky Mountaineer is that it isn't a trip where you travel the entire journey by train. You don't sleep on the train, and you only eat breakfast and lunch on board. You know, once the 2-day train portion is over, you do not travel with the Rocky Mountaineer guides or train anymore. They hand you off to Brewster Tours, and their bus tours then take you the remainder of the way. You know, Rocky Mountaineer arranges everything, and you still only pay one price. Even though the Rocky Mountaineer doesn't have a guide to travel with you on the bus, you know, Brewster covers that. I mean, they created a seamless journey and kept us informed of all the itinerary.
The company has several routes, including a new route in the United States. Now, within those routes are different levels of service. The 2 levels are GoldLeaf and Silverleaf. We chose the GoldLeaf. This is the first class option, and it has a 2-story passenger car. The upper level was very comfortable, you know, with great seating and full glass windows and a dome ceiling. It has a dedicated dining car. On the back side of the carriage, there is an outside viewing platform where you can pop outside for pictures or to take in the fresh air. The Silverleaf is only 1 story, and you dine at your seat. Both levels have a dome-shaped glass ceiling to allow light and viewing.
Now, within the 2 levels of service, there are 3 options for hotels. You can choose the standard room, which is located at a hotel that's not the Fairmont. Okay, the other two options are located at Fairmont hotels. They have the superior room, which is essentially a standard room at the Fairmont. Also a premier room, which is the upgraded room at the Fairmont.
So let's talk about the experience. Overall, we loved the design of the coaches and we liked the vibe of the experience. It felt very special to be on the train. I cannot think of one thing that we would change about the train ride. The food service was excellent and it was on par with kind of a country club experience. We were served local Canadian dishes and the plates were presented very well.
We thought the Brewster tour bus portion was first class as well. I mean, we had several outings on the bus that were standouts, like the Columbia Icefield Adventure, where we got to ride out on ice explorers and walk out on a glacier. On another day, we rode the Banff gondola and walked to the top of the mountain, and we looked down over the entire valley. And we had many other great stops along the way to see and experience the parks. And we thought this was overall very good. Now Jasper National Park and Banff National Park, these places are outstanding. And the bus ride actually takes you the full length of the 144-mile Icefield Parkway, which connects the two parks. This is considered by many to be the most scenic drive in the entire world, and I'll tell you, it did not disappoint.
When we look back at our experience, we really thought about what we would do differently in hindsight. First, this was a friend trip. So from that perspective, our journey was absolutely perfect. Spending time with our friends was a great way to experience the train. If we were to do this trip alone without friends, we think we would have done it well to make a few changes. And, in the big scheme of things, we want the best value. So we studied the numbers, analyzed the data, and reflected upon what made this experience worth the money. Ultimately, we think there is a better option than what we did.
That's right. So first, if you're at a stage of life where you can enjoy any experience at any cost, we would say go all the way out on this trip. Upgrade to the very best rooms and have a great time. You will have a lovely route and you will have luxury accommodations. You will love the many stops the bus, makes, and you will meet some interesting people who are kind and friendly. Now, as a side note, Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise is a wonderful spot in the world, and staying at this iconic resort was amazing.
On this trip, you're given 3 free days, 1 in Vancouver before the train portion and 2 while inside the parks. Now, this is a great time to arrange a guided trip. You need to book these yourself, but there are many options. We took a trip to Bouchard Gardens in Victoria, which included a ferry ride. We even had high tea at the gardens. That was one of my favorite things. In Jasper, we booked another tour of Maligne Lake, and believe it or not, this was the first time we'd ever seen a moose in the wild.
And we even visited every national park in the lower 48 and never once saw a moose in the wild. So this was pretty special to us.
Yeah, the lake tour was beautiful and we had a great time. So if you can afford it, go all out. Book extra tours and don't forget to make reservations for dinner at area restaurants.
Now, we will add that on days that you're on the train, you will not be hungry because they feed you a lot. We ended up canceling our dinner reservations because we were just full.
The part of the trip that didn't impress us were our hotel accommodations. Like we said, we chose the mid-price superior level. For us, a hotel room is a hotel room, and since we travel full-time, we don't feel the need to splurge on accommodations. The Fairmonts are classic grand hotels, but given the price we were paying, we were underwhelmed. It just felt like we were paying a premium to stay at the Fairmont when we weren't getting the level of comfort that we expected for the price. Jasper was $900 a night and Lake Louise is $1,200. At the standard level at the alternative hotel probably would have been just perfect for us and been just as comfortable as the room at the Fairmont.
So, now by doing the GoldLeaf and staying at the lower level Fairmont, we paid $4,300 more than the standard level traveling on the Silverleaf. This is a lot of money for rooms that we just didn't feel were quite worth it for us. We didn't have air conditioning, and for that price, we were surprised that this wasn't included. We were traveling at the end of July and it was still pretty warm.
Yeah, we've traveled on some great trains around the world, and we know from experience that the upper level usually offers better viewing. But on this route, it's not much better. The route didn't offer vistas that you missed out on by being in the lower level. The upper level didn't get you above the tree line. I mean, there's just no advantage to being up so high on this route because a lot of the journey was through the woods.
You know, honestly, we felt the bus section offered the best views of the park anyway. And the train was a great place to visit and enjoy the social experience. But remember, during the bus portion ride, you're getting the same experience as the GoldLeaf. So there's really no difference. It's just the dining car and the upper level viewing on the train is the only difference between the gold and the silver.
That's our assessment. Like we said, if you can afford the luxury GoldLeaf, go all out and get the upgraded room too. If not, and you want a savings, go silver. Either way, you'll have a great trip on the Rocky Mountaineer.
Our pro tip is if you really want to do the GoldLeaf first class service, plan to go in the shoulder seasons of May or September, where you can save up to $2,000 versus the peak rates in July.
If you have any questions or if you've taken the journey, leave your questions or thoughts in the comments for other viewers to read.
Last year, we spent a month in New Zealand and rode all of their trains. So if you like trains, check out that video that's coming up next. We even have some travel guides about our New Zealand adventures on our website.
And we'll see you next time.
Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.